In this video, I want to show you how you can survive as a day trader and then ultimately thrive. And there is no theory here. I will be using a real life examples from some of my personal trading that I captured live on video. So this will not be like some sort of, well, I read in a book once that this is how it's supposed to work. Nothing like that. What I talk about, I'm going to guide you through with a real life case study example so that you know that there's nothing in theory here. This is all very real world. So to set up context, I want to walk you through a trade that I made on Tesla. And on this trade, I went short the stock, meaning for you beginners, I wanted to see Tesla stock price go down. Yes, believe it or not, you can make money when prices are going down in the market. That is known as going short or being short a stock. So I was shorting Tesla, again, meaning I wanted to see Tesla stock price go down. Meaning if the price actually went up, I would be losing money. So yes, price is going up from a shorting standpoint, not a good thing. So with that context out of the way, let's see how this first Tesla trade played out. In at 843. Let's see if we can get some continuation to the downside here. I'm short, so for you beginners out there, that means I want to see prices go down. Not looking so good right now, but we'll see. Markets are coming down, which ideally should help, but sometimes Tesla just does its own thing. So there's the break, kind of, a very short-lived break, and back up it goes. So that's not a good sign for me. Okay, out there, $271 loss. Not very pleasant. Now down $272. But this is where the survival comes into play. How so? Well, who knows how big that 272 could have turned into. To be fair, maybe the price ultimately comes back down and I would have been okay. I could have held and hoped and the trade would have turned out just fine and I would never had to take a loss in the first place. All of that is true. But there is a flip side to that coin. The other side being, well, what happens if Tesla price keeps going up and up and up, and then that 272 turns into 350 to 500 to 750? Because the stock can theoretically go higher and higher and higher forever. So that 272 could, in theory, swell into some sort of massive loss. Because I don't know what's going to happen. Now I realize when you're looking at a textbook or if you're sitting there and doing hindsight trading, look at what's already happened with the chart. It's easy to say what you would have done, what you should have done. But in the real world of trading, that's not how it works. There is no hindsight. When you look to the right on that chart, you just see a void of darkness, meaning you just don't know what's going to happen next. So yes, I'd rather err on the side of caution, aka I would rather survive, and I would encourage you to do the same, survive by just cutting the loss, because you gotta remember this, and it's always tricky to remember, even for myself who've been trading almost 2 decades now, you can always get back in. There's some sort of mental block out there that for whatever reason, it just seems like you have to, well, I can't take the loss because I don't know, I just have to hold. Well no, you can take the loss, and then if you see things start to go in your favor again, you can always get back into a trade. And as weird as it is, at least for me, there can be this kind of mental block where it's easy to forget that, oh yeah, I can get out of the trade and then I can get back in. Now, yes, that's not always easy because, well, you don't want to take the loss. But when you look at it as, well, what happens if the thing keeps going higher and higher and higher? It's much easier to take that loss, because if you're in more of a survival mindset, then you can say, all right, by taking this loss, this is going to allow me to survive because it ensures that my account doesn't get wiped away, or my entire day's profits or my week's profits or month's profits doesn't get wiped away. So let me just survive, because again, I can always get back in. So don't forget about that as a trader. It's bizarre. It's not really at the front of your mind, but just remember, there's no rule that says, hey, if you get out, you can never trade it again. You just can't get back in. No, there's nothing like that out there at all. You can totally get back into the trade. So let's now go to this next part of the trade. Very same setup, very same chart. It's Tesla, and you'll see that, well, let's just get to this next part of the trade. Very well might give it another go. If it does want to come back down, because that was as of now, looking like a failed bounce to the upside, but would still like a little bit more confirmation that that's indeed the case. Okay, I'll pause. Right down there again, in at 843. Essentially again, let's see if we can finally get some sort of movement here to the downside. There we go. Okay, took off. Have 25 shares left. And I'm going to call that good. So I'm now up 154. And there you have it. Took the trade and ended up not only wiping away the $272 loss, but then put $150 into my pocket. And I know once again, but Clay, that could have been an even bigger green day. You could have had more money in your pocket if you had just had held. And you are 100% correct. But remember what we talked about previously, that's all with hindsight in our favor now. Yes, I can sit there and say, well, geez, Clay, you know, you never had to get out. That was not required to survive. You would have been okay. Yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda, hindsight trading, we're always gonna look foolish in that regard. So while I understand where you're coming from and you're 100% correct, had I held, I would have had more green in my pocket. But again, as a reminder, that is simply hindsight trading. But by remembering, you know, let's just survive because I can get back in if it does behave in a way where I thought it would. And as you saw at Tesla, it did finally do what I thought it was gonna do. My timing was just a bit off, but because I got back in, you know what? Everything turned to be just fine. So remember, the best thing that you can do to survive as a trader is just keep your losses under control, to manage risk. There is nothing wrong at all with losing money. In fact, as traders, you should be losing money. If you're not losing money, then you're not doing it right. And I know that sounds backwards as a beginner, but you know what? There's no such thing as a perfect trader. There's no such thing as a 100% win rate. And even if you're going 90%, if you're not careful, that 10% of time where you do lose can wipe away the 90% because all it takes is one or two to show up where in this situation that price would have kept going higher and higher and higher, and then I would have had a massive loss on my hand. So err on the side of caution. Remember that you can always get back in, and by controlling that risk, keeping those losses manageable, that's going to allow you to survive and ultimately thrive, sometimes very quickly. Now, does this always happen where, oh, I survived and then that fast on the same exact stock, I get it back? No, and I don't want you to think that this is going to be happening all the time. Sometimes it will require more time, but there are situations where it can happen very, very quickly. But again, this was all made possible by the fact that I reminded myself that, hey, you can always get back in. So if you want to survive and thrive, manage risk, and remember that you can always get back in if you do see a setup that you like. And sometimes your timing will be a little bit off, but hey, welcome to the club. Nobody's timing is ever going to be perfect on every single trade. So I hope this helped. If you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy where I kind of walk you through some of these live trade results, then please hit that like button and leave a simple comment below. Let me know if you have any questions, but just get out there, manage that risk, survive so that you can thrive. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.